House Bill 162 deals with mathematics education. In the last few years, we've had many concerns over reading and math scores for children not only here in Kentucky, but across the United States. You may be familiar that in the 2022 session, this body and the General Assembly passed out Senate Bill 9 dealing with early literacy. House Bill 162 is a follow-up to that piece of legislation as it deals with early mathematics instruction. Mr. Speaker, would you have the clerk report House Committee Substitute 1?
Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 1 to House Bill 162.
Gentleman from Spencer.
Mr. Speaker and members, early on in this session, we had an information-only meeting in the House Education Committee. After that meeting, I had some input from many teachers and stakeholders across the state. We had conversations about the original versions of House Bill 162, and we made some changes to the legislation. Initially, our idea was to focus on 4th through 8th grade because our literacy focus is already on K through 3. However, after talking to many teachers and stakeholders, they stressed the importance that mathematical skills need to start at the foundational levels of kindergarten. So we made that change to change it from 4th to 8th grade focus to K through 3 focus. One other concern they had is they expressed the ability to get that professional learning in time to allow them to implement this. So we pushed out the requirements on some of the legislation by 1 year to begin in the 26-27 school year. Mr. Speaker, I move for adoption, House Committee Substitute 1.
Motion is for the adoption of House Committee Substitute 1. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye. Those opposed, nay. House Committee Substitute 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would you have clerk report House Floor Amendment 1?
Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 1 to House Bill 162.
Gentleman from Spencer.
After we got the House Committee Substitute out, we had changed the language from 4th through 8th grade through K through 3. Department of Education reached out to me and they asked for 2 places for the legislation to continue and have it as a K-8 focus. This involves professional learning. For teachers, they felt like they had the capacity in their fiscal note, $5 million in each fiscal year during the biennium. They felt like they could handle that. So they felt like it was important to give all these teachers the opportunity to receive quality professional learning. Mr. Speaker, I move for adoption, House Floor Amendment 1.
Motion is for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 1. Is there any discussion of the floor amendment? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye. Those opposed, nay. House Floor Amendment 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Spencer.
Mr. Speaker and members, if you look at the first page of the House Committee Substitute, I just want to read one brief paragraph, which is the essence of why we brought this legislation. Mathematics proficiency is essential for all Kentucky students to achieve the academic goals as established in KRS 158.6451. If you haven't read that statute, I encourage you to look up that statute and read it and study it. It is Kentucky's goal that all children have the skills necessary to demonstrate procedural skill and fluency, building from conceptual understanding to application in order to solve real-world problems. Again, House Bill 162 involves professional learning, teacher academies, coaching models in the 26-27 school years, just like we did in early literacy. School districts would they would adopt universal screeners in the first 30 days for students. From those screeners, those students who had difficulties, they would form a diagnostic assessment, and then they would determine which skills that are needed in students and come up with an intervention plan. Mr. Speaker, the legislation also makes some changes to the Math Achievement Committee, kind of reorganizes that and asks them to come back by May 1st of 2025 with some recommendations to the General Assembly. Mr. Speaker, I'd be happy to entertain any questions. With that, I move adoption of House Bill 162 as amended by House Committee Substitute 1 and House Floor Amendment 1.